I hope you all are fine. Today we will be continuing with the same chapter, that is photosynthesis and respiration. Students, I have already taught you about the process of photosynthesis, the various raw materials required for photosynthesis and the leaf anatomy in the previous class. Today this is part 2 of the video lecture. Today we are going to cover stomata, structure and role in photosynthesis, adaptation in leaves to perform photosynthesis. How does photosynthesis occurs? But this doesn't mean that we are going to repeat the process. In this topic, we will see that how the various parts such as the vascular tissue, they contribute to the process of photosynthesis. We are going to study that in this subtopic. Now, next we will see factors affecting photosynthesis. We will see that how the various factors of photosynthesis, they control the rate of photosynthesis. Okay. Students, there are certain parts in all green plants which are very crucial for the process of photosynthesis to take place. And among these essential parts, the most important being is the stomata. What are stomata, children? The singular term for stomata is stoma. Okay, singular is stoma, plural word is stomata. Children, stomata are the minute openings. These are the minute holes that are present on the epidermis of the leaf. When I say epidermis, I hope you all remember that in the last class I have shown you that epidermis is the second layer or second covering of the leaf following the cuticle. The outermost layer of any leaf is the cuticle, followed by the next layer, that is epidermis. Now, these stomata are located on the upper epidermis as well as lower epidermis. That means each stoma will be surrounded by the epidermal cells that form the epidermis. Now, let us first see, children, the structure of stomata. Now, there are two diagrams on the screen, children. The first diagram shows you how the stoma remains open, and the second, just a minute, children. And the first diagram shows that the stoma is open, and the second diagram shows that the stoma is closed. Now, let us deal one by one with all the parts of a stomatal apparatus. This structure which we can see on the screen, children, it is called stomatal apparatus. Okay. If you see the stoma, singular term for stomata, this is the stoma region, children. Stoma region is also known as stomatal pore. This is surrounded by two kidney-shaped or two bean-shaped cells called the guard cells. What are these cells called, children? Guard cells. And why are they known as guard cells? This is because, children, they guard the entry of stoma, or they guard the stoma. Now, inside each guard cell, there are some cell organelles which are very important for the process of photosynthesis. What are these, children? The very first one is a prominent nucleus. You can see there is a prominent nucleus in both the guard cell. Next is a vacuole which will store the water. Okay. Now, following two vacuole are the chloroplast. You can see, children, there are so many chloroplasts, isn't it? These chloroplasts are the actual site of photosynthesis. Why so? Because the plast, they contain the green pigment chlorophyll, which taps the sunlight for photosynthesis. So this is all about the guard cell and the stoma. Next to the guard cell, what can you see in the stomatal apparatus, children? You can see that the guard cells are surrounded by epidermal cells. Now, why they are surrounded by epidermal cell? Because the stomata is found on the epidermis of the leaf. Students, now let us understand the mechanism of closing and opening of stomata, because this is very important to understand that how the stomata actually functions. How is it able to provide carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and how it helps in the excretion of the oxygen which is produced as a byproduct during the process of photosynthesis. So let us see, children. All of you look at the diagram first of all. The diagram number 1 is showing that the stoma is open, and in diagram number 2 you can see that the stoma is closed. First of all, let me tell you that this diagram depicts the condition of stoma during the daytime, okay, and the second diagram shows you the condition of the stoma during the night time. Now, opening of or closing of the stoma depends on some factors such as the concentration of glucose or starch in the guard cells, or the concentration of water in the surrounding epidermal cells. Both these are very important factors that actually affects the closing or opening of a stoma. Now let's see how. Now during the daytime, children, when the leaf performs the photosynthesis in presence of sunlight, during that time what happens? Due to the presence of chloroplast in the guard cell, the photosynthesis occurs inside the guard cell also. Now the glucose that is produced in these chloroplast, what happens to that? That glucose become concentrated inside the guard cells. That means during daytime the guard cells are full of glucose. That means the concentration of guard cells is comparatively higher than the concentration of the neighboring epidermal cells that surround the guard cells. Means inside the guard cells more amount of glucose, outside the guard cells, inside the epidermal cells, more amount of water but less amount of glucose. This is the thing, this is the condition, children. So what happens? We all know osmosis, isn't it? What is osmosis? Movement of water molecules from a region of their higher concentration to a region of their lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So from the epidermal cells that surround the guard cells, the water goes inside the guard cells. Now, this leads to a condition that is called turgid. The cells, the guard cells, they now become fully hydrated, and this condition is called turgidity, or simply the guard cell is called turgid at that particular moment when there is a lot of water inside it. This inward movement of water is from the epidermal cells towards the guard cells. This makes the guard cells swell up. The guard cells in turn, what happens to them? They swell up, and when they swell up, what happens to them? They stretch apart and they in turn pull the stoma open from the inner side. If you see this inner thick walls of the stoma, they stretch apart and a gap is created. This gap, this opening is actually the stoma, children. This is the stoma. Reverse happens in case of night. What happens during night? Children, during night there is no photosynthesis, isn't it? So no formation of glucose. Whatever water was absorbed or entered during the daytime during the process of photosynthesis inside the guard cell, that water now gradually starting from the evening time starts going back to the epidermal cells, okay, that are surrounding the guard cells. So slowly the amount of water becomes lesser and least, and now the condition of the cell is called what? I am talking about the condition of the guard cells is called flaccid. Flaccid is a condition of a cell in which it doesn't have sufficient amount of water to maintain its shape. So what happens when the water goes out? These inner thicker walls of the guard cell, they once again revert back to their original position, and the stoma gets closed up. So this is how the stomata opens or closes. Okay, this is the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. I hope you all have understood, children. Now students, we will study the various adaptations in leaves that makes them suitable to perform photosynthesis. The very first reason is, children, the leaves, if you look at this diagram, the leaf has a broad and wide surface so that more and more sunlight can be absorbed by the chloroplast to perform photosynthesis. Next student, the leaf has numerous stomata on the lower surface of the leaves and some stomata on the upper surface of the leaf. These stomata help in the exchange of gases during the process of photosynthesis. The stomata, they allow inward movement of carbon dioxide through them and outward movement of oxygen gas produced during the process of photosynthesis. So they help in providing the raw material carbon dioxide to the leaf, and at the same time they help the leaf in getting rid of the byproduct oxygen produced during the process of photosynthesis. Apart from these above two mentioned points, children, there are large intercellular spaces present among the cells of the mesophyll layer. This layer, mesophyll layer, especially the spongy mesophyll layer, children. It allows easier diffusion, easier exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen gas. That means during the process of photosynthesis, these intercellular spaces, they allow the entry of the carbon dioxide through the stomata. Not only that, they also allow the outward movement of oxygen through the stomata. For some time, for a temporary period, the carbon dioxide or oxygen molecules, they remain here. So that is why they are providing a surface, an empty area where the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen can occur through the stomata. Children, next is each pellicid mesophyll cell contains numerous chloroplasts, and due to the chloroplast only, which contains the chlorophyll, it is possible for the leaves to get their fuel to do photosynthesis. What is their fuel? The solar energy. So more the number of chloroplasts, more will be the absorption of solar energy and more will be the rate of photosynthesis. Next is what, children? Next is the extensive network of veins. Mid-vein, secondary vein and tertiary veins. There is an extensive network of veins in all leaves. Whether the venation is parallel or reticulate, it doesn't matter. Each and every vein has got the vascular tissues. What are these vascular tissues? xylem and phloem. So xylem will provide the water molecules or simply the water that is required for photosynthesis, and phloem will transport the prepared glucose in the leaf to the different parts of the plant body. So they are also very useful, the veins, because they contain the vascular tissues, the transporting tissues, that is xylem and phloem. And lastly, oxygen produced during the process of photosynthesis is released into the atmosphere through the stomata. We have already seen this sometime before, children, that stomata are also helpful in eliminating the byproduct oxygen that is produced during the process of photosynthesis. Students, now let us understand that how the process of photosynthesis is carried out. For the process of photosynthesis, water is transported upward by the xylem vessels, and this water is uniformly distributed everywhere in all the leaves of the plant body. In the leaves, we all know that numerous chloroplasts are present. These chloroplasts contain the pigment chlorophyll, which is responsible for the green appearance of the leaves. Now, during daytime, when the sunlight falls on the surface of the leaves, the chlorophyll contained in the chloroplast becomes immediately activated. Immediately activated with what, students? With the solar energy. Now, after getting activated, the chlorophyll splits the water molecule. Water is one of the raw material for photosynthesis. Remember, children. So what it does, the chlorophyll, using the solar energy, splits the water molecule into H plus ions and OH minus ions, that is hydrogen ions and hydroxyl ions, OH minus. This process of splitting of water molecule in the presence of chlorophyll using solar energy is known as photolysis. Photolysis. Photo means light and lysis means breakdown. So the breakdown of water molecule into hydrogen ions and hydroxyl ions is known as photolysis, or simply splitting of water molecule. Next to this, the products which are formed in this reaction of splitting of water, children, these are not just useless. They will further undergo reaction in a series of steps. The hydrogen ions that has formed here will combine with the other raw material, that is carbon dioxide, and together they will produce what, children? They will produce the glucose molecule. The motive behind the process of photosynthesis is the production of food only, and this glucose is the simplest form of food. So C6H12O6. So this is one reaction, beta. Another, what happens to the hydroxyl ion then? In the hydroxyl ion, we have the oxygen atom. This oxygen atom gets converted into molecular oxygen and escapes out of the leaf through the stomata into the atmosphere. So this is how the process of photosynthesis actually occurs. First of all, I am repeating once more, children, the chlorophyll becomes activated by the solar energy. Once it gets activated, it splits the water molecule into hydrogen ions and hydroxyl ions. The hydrogen ions so evolved combines with the carbon dioxide and forms the glucose molecule, that is C6H12O6. And the oxygen present in the hydroxyl ion gets converted into molecular oxygen and is eliminated or released or escaped out of the leaf through the stomata in the form of oxygen gas into the atmosphere. and the glucose that is prepared in this process is transported to the different parts of the plant body through the phloem, students, and some of the glucose is utilized by the plant body, but the remaining is stored in the form of starch. I hope till here everything is clear, children, but still in case you all have any doubt, you can definitely comment me in the comment box. See you all in the next class with the next video. That will be part 3rd of the chapter, and we will be completing the topic photosynthesis in the next class. So all of you, thank you children. That's all for today.